Welcome to the Art of Money podcast with Art McPherson.
And thanks for checking out the Art of Money podcast. My name is Mark Owens alongside Art McPherson and Luke McCarty. All the information for the McPherson Financial Group, you can find it at theartofmoneyradio.com. Pretty big week for those that want to claim their Social Security benefits because the cost of living adjustment went to 5.9%. So explain that to me. What does that mean?
Yes, so anybody out there on Social Security, right, you are now getting a cost of living adjustment starting in January of 2022, coming up, of 5.9%. This is the largest cost of living adjustment since 1982. So when you hear the media, when you hear the Federal Reserve, when you hear anybody tell you there's not inflation, well, they just proved it because they're raising your Social Security by almost 6%. So if you've stopped going to Publix, maybe you can go back. Publix is very expensive and everything's just going up when it comes to, your food prices, your meat prices, gas prices. I mean, you name it. So 5.9% is going to help quite a few people, but it may just create more inflation if you think about it.
Well, how do we pay for it?
I think Biden said it's free.
Oh, okay. Well, then never mind. All right. Well, thanks for joining us for the Art of Money this weekend. But seriously, where does it come from?
I know. Well, basically, the government gets their dollars from corporate America and our tax returns. So our tax returns produce, about $5 trillion to the government to be able to spend that tax return to make roads and bridges and all the things they do. But for some reason, our government doesn't stop there. We have a balanced budget amendment where they're supposed to. So they have this thing where they do a continuing resolution. So to get around that rule that they put in place, they just do a temporary budget. So they don't have to have a balanced budget. And they go out there and borrow another $3 trillion, $4 trillion, whatever they want with that credit card Luke talked about last week, that they can just keep raising, and just kind of kick it down the road as far as obligations to pay. The problem is that is creating more of a problem because you have more debt that keeps piling up and the interest on that debt continues to pile up, and it makes it harder and harder for our government to be able to function properly, especially with a rising interest rate environment and an inflationary environment. So it's creating quite a mess, and it is not free. It is something that we pay dearly for, and our kids and our grandkids are going to pay for it. Everything's going to get more expensive, where everything had been kind of not that bad over, year-to-year basis. Now we're starting to see it jump quite a bit, where we're going to see the prices of gas and fuel and food and all that stuff at the grocery store. Just like Luke said, Publix is very expensive right now, and you see it every month in your bills, and that means your green dollar goes less. It doesn't go as far.
Right. And you've seen the videos lately of all the shipping containers off the coast of L.A. just waiting and waiting. And I heard a rumor, and you correct me if I'm wrong, now they're saying they might divert some of them down to Florida.
They are talking about it. Florida's opened that up. They can come to Florida. Texas also said we're available. So some of these ports that are having slow-moving trouble for whatever reason, come to our ports. We've got to figure it out.
I guess on the most simplistic side of it as well, I was at Publix the other day, and it felt like a lot of the shelves were more empty than we traditionally see them. And so you think, okay, well, it's because they're having trouble getting everything off the boats. But how much of this food, of these goods that they're bringing over, are going to be expired by the time they get off the containers?
Could be a lot, especially if it's bananas. If it's bananas, they only last so long. If it's tomatoes and perishable food like that, they're done.
Yeah.
Boxed food and canned food, things like that are a lot better. But that you're talking big problems there. Hopefully, I don't know because I don't work in the port. Hopefully, they're putting the food trucks and the container trucks like that on those ships ahead of the other ones that are non-perishable items.
Right.
Who knows though? California seems to make a lot of dumb decisions right now, so we'll see.
We're going to move bananas ahead of Art's pool heater and ahead of those microchips for the trucks that aren't here.
That's right.
Right.
We need bananas.
Yes, but I mean, you just never know.
I know, right? I know. Well, I'm sorry, Art, that you can't get your pool heater in. I'd like to feed my kids. So listen, thank you.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you for stepping back and helping the rest of us out. 321-425-8550. The economic shifts, and that includes your Social Security benefits or maybe your pension or maybe your 401k. How is it going to affect your bottom line and your goals towards retirement? Well, give the team at the McPherson Financial Group, give them a call and let them put a second set of eyes on your life's work. It is a complimentary consultation from Art McPherson. If you have that $500,000 in assets, give them a call. Set up that appointment, no obligation and no fees this weekend if you're one of the first 5 callers. 321-425-8550. 425-8550. Always online at artofmoneyradio.com. And I think you touched on it a little bit, but I want to get back into the debt ceiling because it's continued to be conversation out of Washington about the debt ceiling where the cap on the national debt and the U.S. Treasury can incur. But Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen tells CNBC that, like so many times before, everything should just work out for the best.
The debt ceiling has been raised almost 80 times since 1960. And almost always on a bipartisan basis. We have to raise the debt ceiling as a routine matter whenever the country runs budget deficits. By failing to pay any of our bills that come due would really be a catastrophic outcome. I fully expect it would cause a recession as well.
All right, catastrophic. Does she have a point, Art, or is she being dramatic? What do you tell your clients who call up concerned about the debt ceiling?
Well, she's right, because what she's basically saying, if we don't increase the debt ceiling and we default on our bond, yeah, that's going to be a big problem, because we're going to go from a AAA or a AA bond security down to junk bond status. And all of a sudden, we're going to have to pay a lot more money for that bond money from the federal government side. They're going to have to pay high yields on those rates. So it would be very, very problematic to have that happen. So that's why they never allow it to happen. But what I would like to see happen is that we spend less money. I mean, right now, the federal budget grows at 8% per year. The economy has not been growing at 8% per year. Why does the federal government spending grow at 8% per year?
Because they keep raising the debt limit or the debt ceiling?
No, they just spend money like drunken sailors, and they feel like they have a money tree. And our current president says it's free and it doesn't cost anything.
8% is very, very high. I would say maybe rise with inflation.
Right.
Get your cost of living adjustment, government, right? But 8% every year, even in down years, flat years.
Well, I mean, if you think about it,
6% years, I mean, that's a lot.
They had the big budget fight, and they had that big fight back in 12 and 13. They talked about sequestration. If the Republicans and the Democrats couldn't come together and agree on a new budget, they would go into sequestration. Sequestration was going from 8% growth per year in every department across the government to 7.75. And we actually did see spending drop a little bit. Mm-hmm. And they only cut it 0.25%. Can you imagine if we just kept it level for 5 years? We would all of a sudden start making a bunch of money that we could actually pay down the debt. It's amazing. So
that means that both sides would have to come to an agreement for 5 years.
Correct.
Yeah.
But it's not hard. It doesn't take we're not talking rocket science here. If we just spend the same amount next year as we spent this year, and you don't give those politicians a pay raise until they start paying things off and give them a reason to get a pay raise, it would be so much easier. But we're not there. We have a money tree, and it costs nothing.
It cost me my retirement dollars is what it's costing me right now.
Yeah, it costs us every day right now because we're seeing inflation kick up because of it. So that's what it's costing us. It's costing all of us. Our money is going less. It doesn't go as far as it did last year. So that's what costs us. That's the real cost of printing the money.
Okay, so I feel like the past couple of conversations that we've had today on the Art of Money have been a little heavy. We've talked about inflation, stagflation, now the debt ceiling. There was a study by mattress firms that found that more than half of American workers feel their on-the-job performance suffers. They don't get enough sleep, leaving them irritated, unhappy, and unmotivated. So I feel like that as retirees are starting to also lose sleep because of these conversations about inflation and the debt ceiling and their financial situation. So what do you say, Art McPherson, if somebody calls you up and says, listen, my plan, the way the economy is running right now, this money tree that we have, it's keeping me up at night. What do you tell people to calm their fears?
I guess, according to you, they should go buy a new mattress.
And this is a commercial for Mattress Firm. Thanks for checking us out.
My mattress.
I mean, basically, there is a lot of things out there, but don't try to go through the navigation of a retirement planning on your own. I think there's only about 5% of the people that walk in our door for the first time that can do that successfully. Mm-hmm. So 95% of the public that's listening to the show today don't have the skills to be able to do that. They don't have the skills to be able to navigate that. Hire somebody that's a professional that can help you walk through that and give you guidance. You know where you want to be. You know what your income needs to be for the type of retirement you want. Just get someone to help you be able to walk along that path with you and make sure you're prepared for those things like what's going on now, inflation. We've got a high level inflation, so your portfolio needs to be able to grow enough to adjust your income with that new level of inflation.
Thanks for listening. Want more from Art McPherson of McPherson Financial Group? Find us online at artofmoneyradio.com.
We are an independent financial services firm helping individuals create retirement strategies using a variety of financial and insurance products to custom suit their needs and objectives. Securities offered through World Equity Group, Inc., member FINRA and SIPC, a registered investment advisor. Investment advisory services offered through ProStatus Group, LLC. McPherson Financial Group and ProStatus Group, LLC are separate entities and are not owned or controlled by World Equity Group, Inc. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. Investment financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. Art McPherson is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Please consult with your attorney, accountant, and or tax advisor for advice concerning your particular circumstances. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Arthur McPherson. Florida Insurance License number A174. 725.
Today's show has been a work of art.